Hey there, my name's Curtis. This is my channel, Empire Building. Welcome back to another episode. Now let's see what's new in Tesla news. Tesla just became the most shorted stock in the US again. As Tesla's stock price rises, short sellers are turning up the heat. On Tuesday, Tesla's short interest, or dollar amount of shares borrowed to bet against, swelled to roughly $14.5 billion, eclipsing Apple's $14.3 billion in short interest, data from the financial analyst firm S3 Partners showed. That means that the automaker is the most shorted stock in the US, according to S3's data. Tesla's market capitalization is about 1/14 of Apple's. Still, the Elon Musk-led automaker has been the most shorted US stock before. Apple overtook its position at the top of the US shorts list in September, S3 data showed, and it held the title until this week. Traders betting against Tesla had a rough start to 2020. Shares of the automaker have surged 24% through Wednesday's close, inflicting pain on short sellers. On Monday, shorts lost $1.25 billion in one day, as Tesla surged nearly 10% according to S3's data. That brought yearly mark-to-market losses for 2020 to $2.8 billion, nearly as much as short sellers lost in all of 2019. Still, Tesla shorts are holding on to their positions, betting that the stock will come back down after its rapid rally. As investors, we need to keep ourselves up to date and informed about current events, especially pertaining to any companies that we invest in. Having said that, we all know that in this day and age, we must always be on guard and not just take information that is thrown our way at face value. We have all heard the term fake news, but what is it? And how do we identify and protect ourselves from it? And how do we know who to trust?
Trust everyone, just don't trust the devil inside them.
And the best way to protect yourself from the devil inside is to understand the data and question the source. First, a couple of basics. What is short selling? Basically, this is when you borrow shares in a company to sell on the open market because you believe the stock is overvalued and is about to drop. If you are correct, then at a later date, you get to buy back those shares at a lower price than you sold them for and return them to who you borrowed them from. Short selling can be highly speculative and very risky, and I can cover it in more detail in a later video, but for now, you only need to understand that it is a bet that the price of the stock will drop. What this article is suggesting is that the short sellers are flocking to Tesla to short it, since the total dollar value of shorted Tesla stock has surpassed Apple's short interest. Well, let's have a look for ourselves. Since Tesla is listed on the NASDAQ, then you can find information on Tesla's stock on their website. Click search and type in Tesla's ticker symbol. You can see there are several resources here, but we are interested in the short interest on Tesla. Now, what is shown here is not the dollar value of the short interest in Tesla. These are the number of shares that have been borrowed and sold in order to short the stock. So, to calculate the total dollar value, you simply multiply the number of shares sold short by the current price that Tesla is trading at. Once you have this, you do the same for Apple. So now we just compare these two numbers and wait, did they just make this up?
What the?
Well, let's dig a little deeper. The problem is that they chose to report this in a way that makes it sound like the short interest is increasing on Tesla. But if they wanted to report that accurately, they would have reported the change in number of shares that have been shorted, which, lo and behold, has dropped and has been dropping ever since June of 2019. In fact, the total number of shares short as last reported is very near the one-year low point. So what is happening here? Well, remember, They chose to report on the total dollar value of the short interest in Tesla, which means that the number will increase if the price of the stock increases, which of course it has been, and at a much faster rate than Apple has been. This is bad for short sellers, not for the stock. Also, we just found that the total dollar short value of Apple was in fact larger than Tesla's. I had to gather data on the price action of Tesla and Apple on a by-the-minute basis, and I plotted the dollar value of the short interest for both Tesla and Apple on a graph. Wouldn't you know, there it is. At least I think so. Let's zoom in a little closer. Yep, it's true. Tesla's dollar value short interest surpassed that of Apple for a grand total of 3 minutes as a result of the rapid increase of Tesla's stock price. The truth is that short sellers have been covering, and they will continue to cover their positions. By nature, they like to think of themselves as smarter than the average investor. But in the case of Tesla, they have clearly found themselves on the wrong side of history. Having said that, I am personally counting on them to give me one more chance to get back into this stock at a more attractive price. Because I mentioned in my previous video, this is a battleground stock, and these short sellers are a different breed and will not accept defeat until they have no other choice. But I share a theory about these short sellers that many other people do, and that is that they are not shorting this stock to make money. They're only trying to slow the progress that Tesla is making by trying to cut off their access to the equity market in hopes that they will fail. Not to leave that on a cliffhanger, but it is a complicated subject worthy of its own video. I like data, and if you're still watching, I guess you do too. Just remember that it is important that you form your own conclusions about your investment decisions based on the data and not just sensationalized news articles who clearly have their own agenda. That's it for this one. Thank you for watching, and please remember to subscribe and like the video if you got any value out of it, and share it with anyone you can think of. This is the best way to support the channel. Now, let's get back to empire building.